Donde and Blackstone, Isola and McMullen. More probable than not, today's panel. Hello, Jackie. Today, playing through, not playing through, maybe playing through, maybe not playing through, running through, and javelining through. Let's go around the horn.
That is a brave little.
That's an adorable little too. All right, you waited. Here it is, your moment of PSI. The Deflategate report. Quote, more probable than not, the Patriots deliberately circumvented rules. Quote, more probable than not, Tom Brady was at least generally aware. Adonde, you are more probably than not, at least generally aware of some of the things we talk about in the show on most days. What do you do, and what should the NFL do with this information?
The NFL needs to take action against Tom Brady. He is the highest-ranking official connected with this. He certainly appears to be orchestrating it. If you read all the text messages, there's not that proverbial smoking gun. Thus, I think the cautious language in the summary of the Wells report. But there is enough there if you look at it. There's also indications, for example, that the Patriots refused to make one of the equipment managers available for further questioning. Tom Brady refused to make his text messages and communications available for them. So there's all sorts of smoke around here, around this fire,
so you're
and
thinking
something needs to happen.
A fine for Tom Brady? Suspension for Tom Brady? What are we talking about?
The problem is it's too late for the Colts or for the Seahawks, so it's really not going to be appropriate for the time in which
you want to start there?
transpired.
Yeah, and the Colts said that they have no comment about this, given the fact that, of course, they kind of started all in the first place. But you know what? This is much ado about nothing. More probable than not. And why do I say that? Because the NFL gave license to quarterbacks and teams to do exactly what Tom Brady and the Patriots did. He just went beyond. The parameters. The ball is supposed to be between 12.5 and 13.5 psi. He made it considerably less. So what? Did that mean they scored more touchdowns and got more field goals? Is that the reason that they won all the games that they did this year, or won the Super Bowl, or won the conference championship? Of course not.
So your headline is, this is more gamesmanship than cheating here, and
Absolutely.
the NFL cannot take any sanctions against the Patriots and Tom Brady.
No, hit them with a fine.
How about you, Frank? Well, okay,
That's
a
what I
fine is
think.
something then. A fine for you.
Yes,
How about you, Frank?
more probable than not, maybe possibly a fine. I waited 5 years for Pacquiao Mayweather and 100 days for this. This is all I get. More probable than not, and I get it. Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, basically exonerated. But what about Joe Negro, Gaylord Perry, when they were doctor of baseball? Hockey players sometimes bend their sticks a little too much. Senator Bill Bradley talked about deflating a basketball a little bit. Yes, it speaks a little bit to the integrity of the game, but come on. It was just deflated a little bit. And even the Colts, quarterback by Stanford man, Andrew Luck, their footballs were deflated below the minimum.
Okay, but
so
since you brought up Negro and you brought up Gaylord Perry, Pineda, just last year with Pine Tar, he was suspended for that. The league came down and him suspended. Does Brady get a suspension here, Frank?
I don't, because they said more probable than not. So they don't know for
Jackie
sure.
Mack, how about you?
I think a fine.
Yeah, that's the problem with this report. More probable than not, after 100 days, after everybody's been waiting, that's just not good enough. It's not definitive enough. And I can understand why Robert Kraft came out with the strong statement he did, because of what Frank mentioned, that 3 of the 4 Colts balls that they checked, they didn't check all of them, Tony, but 3 of the 4 of them were also underinflated. So what does that mean? Does that mean Andrew Luck doctored his balls the same way that Tom Brady did? Or does it mean, like Bill Nye, the science guy, Belichick told us that it was all to do with whatever all that stuff was that he did on
Let me
that
ask you
crazy
this, Jackie. Does this clear Belichick?
I think it does. I do think it does. Now, I know he's all-knowing and all-seeing, but this seems to me to be even a lot
you
more
want to address that?
Well, just Frank mentioning bent sticks. Remember, Marty McSorley, when he had the bent stick in the Stanley Cup Finals, they acted upon it immediately. The Kings fans would argue that it changed the course of a championship series. So, equipment violations can be very serious.
Well, this one isn't. And as far as Belichick, yeah, I think he is cleared in this, because this is thrown down on the little guys in the locker room and on Tom Brady.
I think at this point now, Around the Horn has to issue a formal apology. We did this story in our April Fool's edition. We were looking into the future, and we said it was going to be 10 years into the ruling. We were wrong. It was only 100 days. We thought 10 years, and Commissioner Marshawn Lynch making the ruling. So we were wrong there. We apologize. We move on. Basketball now. Start with Grizzlies over the Warriors. And Mike Conley's reinforced face, and Memphis' reinforced life in this series, maybe. Tony Allen's first team defense resume? Did anybody see that last night? He kind of made it known.
Yeah,
KB, this is Golden State's first loss at home since January 27th. So what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is that Mike Conley is so underrated. Man, what a difference that guy makes. He opens up the floor for the Grizzlies with his three-point shooting. He distributes the basketball, and he puts pressure on their three-point shooters. I mean, they had Golden State, particularly Steph Curry last night, with the weight of the MVP on his shoulders for the first time, really couldn't get going, and that was mostly because of Mike Conley. That's how important he is.
Frank Isola?
Remember how the night started with Adam Silver presenting the MVP trophy to Steph Curry? I think that might have taken a little bit of the edge off of the Warriors, and I think the Grizzlies getting Mike Conley back, you think about what that meant to them. I really thought he was an inspiration. What a performance by him. And Tony Allen, first team all defense. I think he stole that line maybe from Floyd Mayweather. That's what I heard.
McMullen?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you look at Conley, he gives them the three-point shooting that that Memphis team doesn't have without him. And we've said it over and over. We'll say it again. Memphis is built for the postseason, Tony. They like to slow the game down. They like to put it into a half court. That's what they did yesterday. But Tony Allen, as great as Mike Conley was, Tony Allen to me was the difference. The way he sparked him, the job he did on Klay Thompson. What they did against contested three-point shots, which was almost all of them, that's the difference between Golden State being successful and unsuccessful.
And that doesn't really slump, does it? Playing defense like that, that's not something that goes away for games. So that would suggest Memphis new life in this series, Adonde?
Well, of course, and it was about Tony Allen and the Grizzlies defense. However, you don't expect a 3 for 17 three-point shooting performance from Steph and Klay Thompson again throughout the rest of the series. But Memphis does have that defensive identity, which will maintain.
If you believe in Memphis' defense, though, you could expect them at least to shoot below their season averages. I want to say new life because no one was giving Memphis a chance going in. Kevin, now you're thinking Memphis has a shot to make this a series? Frank, a little bit. Jackie?
Yep.
I mean, I agree with what Jackie said. I mean, I always like this team. I mean, their size, their depth. I always like Memphis going into this series.
Good. I'm glad you said that now. You waited 3 minutes into the discussion to
ask
say
me
that.
earlier.
days.
Well, let's talk tonight because similar questions Conley, Yeager, and the Grizz had last night applies to Chris Paul and Doc Rivers and the Clippers. Now, play and put out your best team or rest and heal. Team listed Paul as doubtful this morning. Frank, is there any reason Paul should play tonight?
I think he's going to have the Star Trek jacket back on, and if he's not ready to play, you give him off until Friday. It's that hamstring. They did win the first game without him, so I think what the Clippers have done here, winning in Game 6 on the road, San Antonio, Game 7 at home against the Spurs, and then winning on the road, they've showed you some toughness, some character. Give him a couple more days to rest. Get him ready for Friday.
You agree with Frank there?
Yes, I do. And when you look at it, if you told them before this happened that you go into Houston and you split games at home, you'd say, absolutely, I'll take that. You've already got that. Give them the extra days they need. Hamstrings are tough. Rest helps.
Adonde?
Yes, they have the luxury of the lead. Reminds me when the Lakers were up 2-0 on Indiana. Kobe Bryant had a sprained ankle. They sat him out Game 3. They were still able to prevail in the series. And you also wonder when the fatigue of the 7-game series in the first round might catch up with them. It could be tonight. So maybe they just won't have it tonight anyway. Rest Chris Paul, get him healthy for a game.
Blackstone, how about you?
Boy, you know what? If it looks like he can go, I would put him out there and put my foot on their neck. Absolutely. And try and extinguish this team right now. But, you know, like Jackie said, hamstrings are a difficult thing. You don't want to re-injure them, but chances are it's not going to get much better anyway.
After the Horn Ice, you want to make a pick in this game?
Oh, it's going to be James Harden. Big night for him. Rockets will get even.
Jackie, you agree?
I expect the Rockets to win tonight.
Jay?
Yep, 1-1.
Stone?
Yeah, if Chris Paul can't go.
All right. Adonde 8, Blackstone 12, Isola 13, McMullen 10. We've been home. We're taking a break. Fires come next. Coming up, the panel on LeSean McCoy on Chip Kelly. This was a spicy meatball. Stick around.
Laboratory.
Geico presents Strange Saving Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Buy or sell.
Conley, Paul, Love, Smith this entire postseason about who's playing and who's not playing. And now John Wall is going to have to ask himself the same questions Mike Conley did last night. Do I need to try to play? Second opinion on the wrist coming up after last night's loss where he sat out. It was taped, as Jay pointed out, in the most racially harmonious way. Look to the KT tape, people. Adane, what's the level of concern here?
Hi, let's talk about efficiency on and off court. 5-0 with him in the playoffs, 0-1 without him. He's leading the playoffs in assists with 12.5 per game. He's the engine for that team.
Blackstone.
Absolutely, he's a stick that stirs the drink. They cannot win without him. They have to have him out there. People will look at what Ramon Sessions did last night, but that was just scoring the ball. That wasn't distributing the ball. That wasn't keeping the pace of the game. That wasn't going to the rack with impunity, all the things that Wall does.
Isola.
Without impunity. What they needed was Nene not to disappear. He's 0 for 9 in the series, so Ramon Sessions handled himself well. The key will be, remember, it's his left hand. I have a funny feeling he'll be available for Game 3.
McMahon.
Yeah, available for Game 3, that'll be fine. But they're 10-40 lifetime without him. Forget about the small playoff sample. They can't win without this guy. They need him badly. But I agree with Frank. There are other players like Nene that need to step up. And Gortat didn't play particularly well, I didn't think, in that.
And about the Hawks, do they feel like they've righted the ship a
here's
little
why
bit?
they were good. You know why they were good? 30 baskets on 30 assists on 37 field goals. That's Hawks basketball. When they play that way, they're tough to beat.
All right, we're going to move on now. Talk about LeSean McCoy, Q&A, and ESPN, the magazine. We'll put his answers to the two questions that are in question in full on the screen here. What's drawn the most attention is him saying, quote, you see how fast he got rid of all the good players, especially all the good black players? He got rid of them the fastest. That's the truth. There's a reason. It's hard to explain with him, but there's a reason he got rid of all the black players, the good ones like that, end quote. KB, can you address this?
Well, I'll try. I'll just say this. This is the second ex-player of the Eagles who said this, Trey Thomas being the other one. And then there was a report done last year by a white reporter, I might add, that pointed out that the Eagles had the most white players in the league, whatever that means. So this may seem irresponsible, and it may seem like sour grapes, but obviously there is something that has generated.
You're a reporter in that situation, Kevin. What's the question? What's the follow-up question you ask?
Well, you want to ask for the evidence as to why you would say that. What are the supporting facts? And maybe that's one of the things he could have pointed out had he been asked.
Frank, I told.
Yeah, and then part of the supporting facts are that 5 of the 6 players that the Eagles happen to draft are black players. They replace McCoy with DeMarco Murray. You know, the W in the standings, W&L, it doesn't stand for white. It stands for wins, and that's Chip Kelly's only objective here. It doesn't matter who's on the team. To me, those comments are completely irresponsible.
Jackie McMullen?
I'm with you, Frank. I think they're pretty reckless. And KB, you know what? My guess is Nick Foles thinks he doesn't like white players either. He's gotten rid of white players, black players. He has a certain thing in mind. You have to have the follow-up question in this situation, Tony, to find out exactly what do you mean by it. This is a very, very serious charge, a very serious comment to make without anything to back it up. It's not right.
I'll buy LeSean McCoy feeling that way. Something generated that within him. That doesn't mean I necessarily buy Chip Kelly being a racist. I haven't seen enough evidence to make a ruling one way or the other on that. But also, I will not necessarily utilize the number of African-American players he drafts or acquires to refute LeSean McCoy because, hey, Donald Sterling had a number of black head coaches, a black executive, and we saw that didn't necessarily show how he felt about African-Americans.
Kevin Blackstone.
Well, I mean, just the other thing that might be going on here is the fact that you had the entire deal with Riley Cooper and the fact that the team didn't cut him, and people looked at that and wondered what that says about the Philadelphia Eagles organization. It may have said nothing, but it creates this kind of perception, at least with some players.
Buy or sell 3. John Calipari saying no more platooning, no more line changing, no more running out 5 guys, running in 5 guys. You think this is more about him not liking the way it played out and the way he coached his team? Because he said he didn't like coaching like that. Or about other schools using it against him in recruiting, which he kind of alluded to as well, Frank.
Oh, bingo. You hit on it. They went 38-1. They had a brilliant season. Unfortunately, one team wins, and it's not them. Remember, when he brought in some recruits like Karl Anthony Towns, he didn't realize that Willie Cauley-Stein would stay. He had to play a platoon system to play all these players. He doesn't have that many recruits. Now his rotation will be 7 or 8 guys.
And that's Willie Cauley-Stein. Let's get it right, Frank. I stole it. Jackie McMullen, how about you?
I can understand exactly why Calipari is saying this. I think he did exactly what he should have done with the lineup he had, but you know that the negative recruiting started the minute he started doing it. Hey, if you go there, you're never going to be a star. You come here, you're going to average 30 and 10, and we'll play you 40 minutes.
I'll buy that this was a unique situation, and they made the most of it. They made it work, and it took a lot of unselfish play by a lot of the players on that team. But I'm telling the Kentucky fans notion that they created this, and John Calipari himself saying we wrote the book on this. Other teams have platoon before, including Posse back in the day.
Well, Calipari didn't get the #1 player in the country this year, and it's not likely he's going to have as many burger All-Americans sitting down that row of seats on his bench. So of course he's going to get away from the platoon.
I mean, right, all the undeclared burger All-Americans went elsewhere in the aftermath. All right, Adane, first to go. What's the last word?
I'm a believer in the platoon system, so I'll sit this next segment out, and I'll see you in Showdown.
Well, you'll see us after Showdown for that last shot where you get the wave for 2 seconds. Yeah, that's what you see it. Lightning round in Jackson later, rugby player versus a not so expertly well-made brick wall. Who you got?
ESPN Radio, bringing you directly to the biggest events in sports.
Center field, well hit, Hunter back, out of here!
From opening day of baseball,
From the plate, safe at the plate!
right through the World Series.
For the third time in 5 seasons, the San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
Whether it's LeBron, Chris Paul, or Kevin Durant, when the NBA tips off, ESPN Radio is right there when a champion is crowned.
We have a new world champion. The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
And when the magic of bowl season arrives, ESPN Radio is your home for the new college football playoff.
The college football playoff first national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
The biggest events in sports can be found right here on ESPN Radio.
Welcome back to Around the Horn, presented by Guinness Blonde American Lager, part of Happy Hour.
Isola 19, Blackstone 18, McMullen 17. Anybody's ballgame, Mullen. 19-15, 9-3 wasn't enough from LeBron Monday night. So what do the Cavs, minus Love, minus Dare Smith, need from LeBron? And what do they need to do tonight to even game 2, Kev?
Well, one thing they need to do is jump out and get a lead, which they didn't do the other night. The other thing they need to do is defend the pick and roll so much better. They were horrible doing that the other night. And that may mean taking LeBron James off of Jimmy Butler and putting him on Derrick Rose, something crazy like that.
Isola.
He went all John Wooden on us right there. You know what they need? And Jackie might remember this. 19 of 26, 45 points, 15 rebounds in a game 6 a few years back against the Celtics. That's the guy.
That was a transcendent performance. You need a transcendent performance to even the
You
series?
need 35 and up from LeBron without Kevin Love and JR there.
Jackie Mack.
Well, something more subtle, and David Blatt's already done it. Put Tristan Thompson and Mozgov on the floor together. They had a plus 14 differential in that last game, Tony. Minus 21 when only one of them is on the floor. But you do need big numbers from LeBron. You also need big numbers for Kyrie Irving. And you need to keep an eye on Paul Gasol, because that pick and pop is killing you because
Blackstone
Mozgov
was
can't
talking
guard.
about with the pick and roll.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought up the plus minus. Thompson's starting tonight. But the plus minus for Kyrie and LeBron was a minus 25. You're going to sit those guys because they had a bad minus? We'll move on. Lightning 2. Does Justin Verlander have the right to be irritated with fans who are irritated with him, seeming to enjoy his off-the-field life while hurt, Frank?
He should be angry with that picture. He looks awful in that picture. But, when you're going out with a celebrity like he is, everyone's going to hold you to a different standard. The fans don't understand. He's getting his treatment, but what he does in his own time, it is his own time.
He absolutely has a right to be irritated because nobody has any idea how much he rehabs. I remember this with Rob Gronkowski, who everybody knows is a party boy, but was spending 4 hours a day rehabbing that knee out of sight from all the paparazzi. The only thing I would say is, Tony, don't answer back on Twitter Just don't answer them. Just keep on keeping on with beautiful Kate
I do that all the
Hudson, and you'll be
time.
just fine.
Blackstone.
Yeah, I know Twitter. I know Jackie doesn't answer back on Twitter, so I would listen to her
I'm not
on
even
that.
on Twitter.
Let me just, I would just say that is exactly right. You know, fans can do whatever they want, no matter how misinformed and wrong their opinions may be in social media. But don't go down that road with them.
Jackie Mack, 22. You are the next to say goodbye.
You know, I tweet out how unhappy I'm about this show, but like I said, I'm not on Twitter. Someone's pretending to be on Twitter, so whoever you are, tell them I'm unhappy.
Yeah, you get it. All right, Jackie Mack. Kev, Frank, go down next. Straight ahead. Dad, javeliner, and dentist. Board.
Around the Horn is presented by the latest beer from Guinness. Guinness Blonde American Lager. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour. And in part by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com.
It's Showdown. We're in it with Stone and Ice. And Showdown 1. This rugby bro running through a brick wall. Not exactly a cemented brick, but still brick on top of brick on top of brick. Kev, he said he did this because he wants to get a tryout with a team in Australia. You giving him a tryout?
Absolutely, I give him a try. A guy who literally ran through a brick wall for his team and his teammates, and there's a position in rugby made just for him. It's called dummy half. Sign this guy up.
Kevin, as Russell Crowe will tell you, these guys come a dime a dozen. And for me, that's just Australians. The Jenga running through a wall. Come on. Not impressive at all.
Brick wall.
Point Blackstone. Showdown 2, 2008 Olympic gold medalist Brian Clay. Check this out. He extracts his little girl's tooth by throwing his javelin. Credit to Clay for getting the job done, Frank, or credit to the little girl for not even flinching?
I give the father a lot of credit. Thankfully, he doesn't do the hammer throw where he's spinning around and around. Can you imagine that? But here's the thing. I can't get my kids to go to the dentist. This guy has his daughter stand there while he
Does
throws
Blue
a javelin.
Cross Blue Shield even cover that? This is unbelievable. I tell you what, Tony, you try that with Francesca when her tooth is ready to come out. You know where I'd be with me? I'd be on the other end of the javelin if Maryland saw me do that.
Exactly. Yeah, Savvy would be doing the same exact thing. That's how you win a showdown. Kevin Black.
Hey, I just want to apologize to the nice family in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, whose fight party I accidentally crashed over the weekend. It was my bad. I looked at the address. It was the wrong address. I walked in the door, exchanged a dap with some people, said, hey, what's up? Introduced myself, said I was Kevin up in the road. I started looking around for Laverne, and they were like, Laverne? Laverne doesn't live here. There's no Laverne here. This isn't her house. I said, that's my bad. I realized it was a house few doors down the street. Hey, your food looked great. You can up your drink menu a little bit next time. See you in Thanksgiving. Whoa.
You gotta be kidding me, Black.
Hey, that KB at my party?
That's gonna do it. 23.5-hour break.
Two of baseball's best go head-to-head in interleague action when the Tigers head to St. Louis to face the Cardinals. That one is gone. The pregame at 7 Eastern, first pitch at 8, Sunday on ESPN and ESPN Radio.